Okay, good morning. Happy Sunday, YouTube. Um, I hope everybody is having an amazing morning. Thanks for joining me for this impromptu live once again. Something that was on my heart, on my mind today as I was in prayer earlier. I'm getting ready to go to church and prayer time at my church. Um, is this idea of um, unnecessary suffering. So this is actually the scenario that I felt come up, and I just wanted to share this with somebody. I really feel that there are people who are not understanding why things are not working out for us, or feeling like there's more struggle than necessary. And of course, this doesn't cover everybody, but there's a group of people who fall into this category, which is that we end up unknowingly or not consciously, but we end up doing things that end up delaying God's best for us. And so what we do is we think that we have it figured out. We think that we know the way that things need to happen. And so what we do is we go for that thing in the way that seems like it is the most likely to succeed, in the way that seems like this is going to work out the best, work out the fastest, and so on and so forth, right? So we go full speed for that thing. That thing doesn't work out, so now we try another way, and we try another way, and we try another way. And by the time we've done all of this, we've tried multiple different ways, multiple different things, and none of them have worked out. And so now we're at a place of feeling frustrated, we're exhausted, and we finally, as our, last result, we end up going to prayer like, God, why is this not working out? Why is this happening to me? How come none of these options worked out? And I felt like you told me to, go forward or move forward on this issue, or that this would happen, this would be the end result. And so instead of waiting on the Lord at the beginning of whatever issue or crises we were faced with at the beginning, and finding out, okay, God, I know that this is an issue that you have already solved. You've already provided me a solution for this. What is the best path forward? What is my very next step that I should be taking? We've done all the things that we could possibly do in our own strength, with our own understanding, because maybe the first step that God would have said to you in the beginning was, I want you to be connected with this specific person, this specific organization, this specific group of people. I want you to watch this, read this. I want you to do something else before I give you your very next step, because you're missing a piece of understanding. So instead of waiting in the very first beginning part of when we're faced with a choice, specifically a large choice, something that is could shift our life, we don't do that. We just move full speed ahead with the plan that makes most sense to us in our own natural minds. We move forward with that very fast, very, with all of our effort and energy. And we do this multiple times, only to exhaust ourselves and to not have any of those situations work out. Just to have none of those things happen in our timing, in our understanding. While this is going on, it starts to also wear on our faith. So instead of saying, okay, God, you're good all the time, I'm obviously, or am I? I'm asking, examine me. Am I missing something? Am I misinterpreting something? Did I get ahead of you? Where are you in this situation? Instead of doing that, we start doubting God. Okay, maybe God didn't say this to me. Maybe this isn't in my future. Maybe I'm just meant to have a life of suffering, right? And none of those things are true. But because of the times that we have tried our very, very best and failed, this has the war, the external obstacles are now internal ones. They're internal to us, connecting to the heart of the Father, for us to actually hear what God is saying about that specific mountain, about that specific issue. It's not that God doesn't care about it. It's actually that he cares very much about these things, right? He sees that exact issue that you are dealing with, and he has an exact plan for it, but we often miss it because it didn't end up looking like the outcome the way that we had initially planned it in our own understanding. By the way, if you read the word, the Bible is filled with stories like this, where people were going into battle, approaching it from a completely different way that would not make sense in the natural. You just would not plan to go into a war situation the way that they were doing things. For example, like leading the army with worshipers. Yeah, their musicians went out first. So there's all types of things. And by the way, they won. So it's not oh, good job, you came up with the right strategy to become over to the other side of the mountain, to the other side of this thing. You came up with it, so now you get the victory. It never works like that. It's always about the process. And I was doing, by the way, I have a podcast with a pastor friend of mine, Pastor Justin Akers, on the last Wednesday of every month. It's on his channel. I'll link that in the description. I didn't set any of this up, so nothing's in the description, I don't think, of this video yet. This was just really a last minute impromptu thing. But I will link his channel so you can go watch that. Anyway, we were talking, and we were talking on this last podcast that we did, and I'm sure all of us are familiar with this saying that says, pain is mandatory. Like, this life is going to bring you pain, but suffering is optional. And the way that you interpret what is happening to you is so important. And a lot of times we go through a very traumatic, painful experience, and instead of allowing that thing to increase our wisdom, to increase our understanding on the right way to approach difficulties, we actually do the same mistake that prolonged that suffering in the next difficult situation that we make, because we are prone to repeat patterns. By the way, 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, my video that I released on Friday was about this. It's about breaking cycles. So instead of actually breaking cycles, we just repeat these things, and then we just ascribe that lifestyle to God, not knowing, like, this is just God's will, right? Not understanding that we actually have a lot more control, and it's about the way that we are initially reacting to the situation that we are faced with. If we don't learn how to handle these things appropriately, I just want to actually give you one example too of this in the Bible. King David, he's outcast. He's king of Judah, but he did not come to be king of Israel just yet. And he has his band of misfit people, which ended up becoming his mighty men. And they are running away from the then king Saul. And they are actually mercenaries for their sworn enemies, the Philistines. By the way, you'll remember earlier in the Bible, David killed Goliath. Goliath was a Philistine. So they are literally the hired help army people for their enemies. And while he's out, but they wouldn't hire him anymore, because the people were saying, why are we hiring these people? They're getting too strong. And so anyway, long story short, he can't go into two different battles. So he ends up going into this other place. While this is all happening, all of the people's wives and their things get stolen because they're not there to protect them. They're not there to defend them. And so when he comes back and sees this, now all of his guys who he's trained, their army people, their soldiers, they're saying, hey, we are going to kill you because look what you're doing to our life. And instead of getting into a despair mode, he actually just stops and says, like, okay, God, what can I do in this situation? The word actually says he strengthened himself in the Lord. So before he makes a decision, in the middle of, he has his own people trying to do mutiny against him. He has lost his own family, his own stuff, not to mention the stuff of all of the people that he was in charge of. They had essentially just all lost their jobs of being mercenaries for the Philistines. He didn't know what to do, but he knew who to go to find out the answer. He didn't assume that he already had the answer. Listen, this was a skilled soldier. This was a general in the army. He didn't just assume, okay, I know what to do. He didn't. He went to the Lord first. And we can avoid a lot of suffering. By the way, the very next step that he took, it says that he recovered all. So he went forward. Once he had the word of the Lord, he knew what to do, where to go, how to do it. And he did exactly that step. He recovered all that same day. And this often for us is where we miss it. We think it's going to go this way, where it's really about the heart posture. It's about the process. And that way more than you doing the right thing, saying the right thing, knowing the right people, whatever it is, will have the most impact on the outcome that you get. And so learning how to respond to situations is way more important than understanding the right thing to do and using all my knowledge to approach this situation. Yes, we should use wisdom, but the wisdom of the Lord will always incorporate the fear of the Lord. Meaning, if your first reaction is not to find out what God is saying, what God is doing, then you didn't incorporate that wisdom. No matter what else you do, it doesn't matter. It's still natural thinking. It's still natural understanding because it didn't incorporate that. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That means that at the very start, there has to be that holy reverence for my life is not what I think I can do best. I need to know that I'm part of this much bigger plan, and I'm tied to something much bigger than this world. This world is so temporary, right? And so anyway, I just wanted to jump on here really quick. I need to go to church, to prayer now, but I hope that this helps somebody understand that whatever situation you're in, it isn't about you coming up with the right solution and the right plan moving forward. It's about hearing what is best for you in the moment, because it's about the process. The outcome will naturally happen when we get the process down right. When we approach the pain correctly, it leads not unto suffering. It leads unto victory, and to quick victory. Quick change will bring quick opportunity, right? And so the quicker we are to partner with this, the quicker we are to understand, okay, I'm the one that needs to change, not these natural circumstances. When I've changed, I can approach whatever situation I'm going to face, whatever difficulty life hands to me at that moment. I don't need to approach it from a place of despair and from repeating these cycles of pain that we get stuck into, which lead unto suffering, right? There's another option. So I hope this helps somebody out there dealing with whatever situation, difficult choice, maybe even an impossible situation. You feel like there's no, you can't even see a way forward. I hope that this maybe helps you shift your heart posture just a little bit so that you can hear correctly, so that you can approach it correctly. All right, you guys, happy Sunday, and I will see you next week.